For more than 40 years, doing a good job, meeting or exceeding expectations, was enough to earn you recognition, to catch the eye of the elite white shoe executive search firms who held the keys to the kingdom. That was sufficient to fuel your career ambitions. Across multiple sectors, no one could have predicted what has happened to talent acquisition and how machine automation, powered by increasingly powerful and intuitive AI programs, could upend how you must manage your career today. Developments are nothing short of astounding. To succeed today, you must practice active career management, something we call ACM. Aggressively focus on your brand using these tools. Hello, everybody. Great to be with you today. Thanks, Greg Jensen. It's great to have you in the house. It's always great to hear from you. I'm glad things are going well. An old client that's back. I want to start off today by talking to you about our new membership program. It's called YourCAREER Community, and it's a way for you to stay in touch with your coaches, with the whole idea of enhancing your career, becoming familiar with new ideas, staying abreast of recruiting technology, and it's a cost of $49 a month. We have weekly office hours presentations. This is a special edition today. We also have Lunch and Learn, which is twice a month at noon. We do tomorrow afternoon, we have a repeat performance of our interview with T.D. Smyers, a former naval commander and who was an extremely very, very popular executive in the not-for-profit industry, was an extraordinary leader in the Navy, and so he will join us. Today's an abbreviated version. We're learning some new technology, and so we're back today to record a special version of our earlier presentation. Let's go. Part of this is we're using StreamYard for some things and Zoom for others, and I'm preferring StreamYard, to be perfectly honest. So we're delighted you have us. If you have any questions today, let me know and just put them in the chat box. So what we want to do today is, first of all, talk about, for those of you who are new to the broadcast, we have a membership program You have access to all of our recorded courses covering all facets of job search and career management. We have weekly live stream lectures and group coaching sessions. We have discounted one-on-one live coaching support and monthly newsletters. And that's going to start next month. We're working now with a syndicator who's going to distribute it for us. Today's agenda, we want to talk about organizing your search. Now, several of you are already involved in searches. Some of you have successfully completed searches in the past, but it's something that you need to keep in mind. In today's environment, you've got to be job search ready at all the time. So let's talk about getting organized, establishing routines, and creating new habits. First of all, when you get laid off, even through no fault of your own, there's grief. And the reason there's grief is because we are our jobs. We identify with our jobs, our friends we work with. We form deep relationships there. We take pride in the things we've accomplished. And when somebody comes along and says, gee, we've made a decision to go with somebody else or go in a different direction and you're not part of our plans anymore, well, that's really, really, it's hurtful. And it really sets people back. And so we really want to, you really need to understand that there's like when you lose a family member or friend, you go through a process of grieving. And the stages are similar to the death grief. And so you need to let it happen. You need to take a few days and process. Do some things you wanted to do around the house. Guys always say, gee, I had 2 months of honeydew things to do. Wives always, women always had their own special projects they wanted to get done. Take the time to do them. Get away from work for a while. Get your mind away from the disappointment, the frustration, the anger. Then you need to begin to come back into grips and understand that the job search is truly unlike your job. It's outside your range of what you've done, whether you've been a physician executive, whether you've been a clinician, moved to a physician executive, whether you've done other things. Finding a job is really, really unique. And so it is not only is it a full-time job, it's a full-time job with a different set of skill sets than you normally use. So one of the first things you can do is set up an office and get organized and buy the tools that'll help you track what you're doing. Now, whether you want to network or not, you're going to have to do that. If you don't, you're going to add time to your search. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. So buy some journals and things so you can keep a record of your calls. I'm a big believer in using these tab devices that you do sticky notes. I have when I'm reading books, I would turn around and see if I can find one of my books, but it's not. I think the housekeeping people moved. When I read a book, you can always tell what I'm reading because it's got all those sticky notes down the side because I'm looking for research points. But whatever you do to have to remind yourself what's important, what you've got to get done, you buy those tools. I also recommend you get a planning journal. Yes, we have computers, and yes, we keep our schedules on our computers, and they coordinate with our phones. But sitting down early in the morning to say, okay, here are the things from my telephone that says I'm scheduled today. Here are the things that I must do that are essential to finding a job, that are essential part of a job search. And you block out time for those things as well. So you prepare your day. So you want to have the tools to set up an office and having a journal, a daily planner. I use one from Amazon that's a big book, and you can go to my YouTube channel, and I think that there's some descriptions of some of the stuff that I use that I found it's been really really helpful to me. So every morning when I come back from the gym a little before 6, I'm down with my book and a pen that I enjoy writing with and a hot steaming cup of coffee, and I'm looking at my phone and I'm saying, okay, these are the meetings I have scheduled. Now, what else do I have to get done today to move my company forward? What do I have to do today to try to get more members into the fold? What do I have to do today to add great content and take care of the people that I'm working with on a regular basis? And so I try to plan the day out. And it's not just in my computer. I write it down. I'm old school, I guess. I'm sorry. But I like to write things down and think about what I've got to do. I also have a journal that I keep kind of a things of, okay, this person wants this done. I need to follow up. And so I do all those things, and I keep a journal of that. There's a correlation between the color of my hair and my lasting memory. So I now have become a keeper of lists and a writer of things down. So you may find that that's helpful for you, not because you are at the point of diminishing mental capacity, but you're going into a type of job, you're going into a type of daily routine that you don't normally do. And so you want to be very purposeful, you want to be very intentional, and you want to write things down. So I hope that you'll set up an office and buy the tools necessary for you to be successful. Now, because as I said, you're going to be doing things that you don't normally do. I'm reading a great book called Habits. And in the book, I've read it before and I'm rereading it. And gosh, there's all this great stuff. Like, how the hell did I miss that the first time? But inside deep in your brain is a little mush of tissue that scientists have discovered is really the heart of where your habits are stored. Now, discipline, we'll talk about that in just a minute. People say, oh, I'm just not disciplined enough to do this on a regular basis. No. Discipline is simply the tool to get you into a habit. The habit is something you do, keep doing and keep doing and keep doing until it becomes second nature. So you want to identify what habits do you have to have every day that will help you advance your job search. Now, as I said, discipline is simply the tool to create the habits. A timely success in a job search really depends on your robust habits. I find that when I was doing business development for all those years, I was most successful when I was had a routine of habits that led me every day to do those things that would bring in business. And there are things that we don't like about bringing in business. There are things we don't like about having to look for a job. I mean, when you're running a big organization, you're not on the telephone trying to sell yourself. And so if you're not used to doing that, it's uncomfortable for a lot of people. But that's just one of the things you've got to adjust to. And if you force yourself to do it every day, block out the time, you will create a healthy habit that will advance your career. Create a daily work schedule, as I said before, and include those things that you do not like to do. Force yourself to do them. The priority focus here is going to be building a network. It is your career equity. Now, without a career network, executives and managers may see a 3 to 6 month extension in their job search. Now, during times of the year, seasons of the year, and then sometimes it'll be several years apart, you start to see repetitive patterns from the past. Some of those patterns aren't very helpful. We're seeing a lot today, and I've had 2 more examples in the last week where people were candidates in jobs. They were not told that there were internal candidates. They were not even told that there were local candidates. And in fact, in one case, they were told, no, there is no internal candidate. And in fact, there was. And so, that might have changed this person's approach to the job. So every once in a while, we'll get a situation where clients, I'm still sounding like a recruiter, don't I? Where prospective employers misbehave. You would like to make it illegal, but we can't shoot them. So you just have to understand that you'll have to ask the questions, you'll have to listen carefully, but you want to be certain that you're not getting trapped into bad situations. You need to have a network of people that will refer jobs to you because they're going to be able to give you additional information. And one of the things that we're seeing now is that, that the job searches are taking a little bit longer. People, healthcare organizations and other organizations are doing layoffs. And so, you need to be sure you start finding people that align with your career plan that will help you get through the side door and get hired faster. If you do not have a viable network, when you start your search, you must run parallel operation, building your network and looking on the job boards. And the job boards, it's an inefficient way to find a job, but if you don't have a network, you have no other choice. I will tell you this though, stop. Don't let this happen to you again. If you don't have a good network, don't let it happen to you again, because going forward, you're going to find yourself not only taking longer to find a job, but you may not be able to find the kind of job you want or at the compensation you want. It's going to get really challenging. So building that network is your runway to a better job that you and career growth, and it'll accelerate the process. You've got to have weekly goals. If you don't write it down, if you don't set goals for yourself, if you don't challenge yourself, I'm living proof. When I've challenged myself, when I have goals for the week, I find out that I'm usually in the 90 to 100%, range of completing those tasks. And those are the better weeks where I end up having more people come into the system. That's important. So you need to have goals. I'm going to talk to 10 new people this week, people I don't know. I'm going to talk to people I know to see who they may know that align with my needs and my career plans. So every week you want to talk to new people. You want to be looking for new opportunities. You want to put on your investigative reporter's hat, one I used to wear so often, and you want to do research on jobs that might be coming available or jobs that are available to find out if you want to pursue them. So these are things that you're going to be doing every week. That's different than running an organization. That's different than running a business. So, connecting with people, it's really, really important. Setting goals that you're going to talk to X number of new content and make meaningful contacts to add to the network. Connecting with people may not be something you enjoy, but it's part of today's job market. That's just too bad. I'm so sorry, but this is an imperative. Please don't not network. We're going to do, I've done it for so long. Sometimes I do things without thinking. There's that brain tissue inside my head again. And so I do it without thinking. And now I'm trying to really be thoughtful and put some steps down on paper so I can share them with you. And that's something that I'm considering working on right now. Networking in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s through 2010, executives could get away with saying, I don't have time. I'm too busy. Today, that's BS. It's do or die. In the great movie Moneyball, Billy Bean, the character here in the photo, is telling his chief scout, who's the chief scout's raising Cain because he's using computers. He's got this guy from Yale with an economics degree, and you're ignoring all these people that have all this experience. And all those people with all that experience weren't getting the job done. And Billy Bean simply says, adapt or die. And that's where we are. And that sounds so harsh, and I apologize, but you have to adapt the way you manage your career, or your career will suffer. So don't let that happen, okay? Again, establish daily routine. Because you're doing a job that you're not used to, because you're working from home, because you are doing tasks that you would normally do in your job, you really have to be very intentional. So you want to provide specific time blocks for networking, LinkedIn, email, telephoning, follow-up, the whole 9 yards. You want to look for people who are in connections that are having birthdays, so you can send them birthday greetings with paperless posts. You work on your social media posting activities, and you also need to take time to read and stay current with current industry news and to be up to date on regulatory updates. It's nothing worse to be in a job search and for people to mention something to you, a recruiter or somebody else mentions something to you that they think you know and you don't know, and you go, oh, really? I wasn't aware of that. That's just something you don't ever want to say. So try to work on that. Doing your job and looking for a job, they're wildly different activities. And so it's throwing you out of your rhythm. It's throwing you out of your comfort zone. And, when you're running a business, even if you're just an executive VP and reporting to the CEO, you're still part of leading and promoting a vision. And this is different than promoting yourself. So just understand that. And you have to post case studies. You have to brag on yourself. We're working now, and I know I've been saying that, but this is a mammoth task to try to put together a production to teach you how to produce short videos using SynSpark, or using, if you have a Mac, you can use iMovie to edit little brief movies that would maybe tell your story about a success that you had. And the reason you do that is because movie videos add value to your profile on LinkedIn, and those are going to be increasingly important. You have to adapt your daily habits, and there's no easy way. You just have to say, okay, these are the things I need to do every day. And then you go through the process every day. until they become automatic, until they become a habit. It's going to take you 6 to 8 months, maybe longer, to find a job. And so it's really important that you establish those habits. Understand you're doing work that's not something that you normally do. That doesn't mean that you're incapable, or you're not smart enough, or whatever, or that somehow you're inferior because you don't know this. It's just because it's two distinctly different types of activities. So you may be great at running a department, or running a division, running a healthcare system, but finding a job usually is the one job that trips people up. That's why we've created Your Career Community, so that you have access to answer your questions, to pick up on education, and to join our weekly sessions. So we hope you'll consider that. If you have any questions today, just drop them in the chat. My friend Greg Jensen, he said, I would never be where I am now. Well, you're very kind. He's director of operations and on a path for a COO job. Congratulations, and your support is very much appreciated. We hope you'll come back and see us from time to time. Greg, he's down in Florida. Kathleen Forbes is with us today. Congratulations. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. And a physician executive, really top-notch leader in the industry. We're building this platform. Please, if you have ideas on how we can make it better, please let us know. We're in the process of putting together an advisory board, and we're putting a founding kind of circle advisory board, so that we can build a platform, not that I want or not that I think is best, but stuff that you people want and need, and what we can do to help you not only get your next better job, but also expand your career. So had a couple of questions that came in on an earlier feed today. Let's see. Why do some placement, let's see, what people's writing is terrible at mine. Why do some applicants don't they just do average performance, but they tend to do better, and others who are really, really competent sometimes are the ones that are laid off, or the ones that don't get the job? It goes back to selling yourself. I was reading a piece in Business Insider today, and they were talking about, we are now in the season where managing directors are being appointed at the big investment banks. And this is a big deal. Goldman Sachs only appoints MDs every other year. An MD in that corporate structure is golden. I mean, that's what you work for. And it's right below the C-suite, below, kind of the partner level role. And so everybody wants to be an MD. And somebody once said, if you really want to be an MD, particularly in times of economic stress, and we're maybe going into that now, you want to build a strong network, not only within your company, but people that will support your next steps outside the company. And, finding growth and growing internally requires building an internal network. And so that's one way that sometimes the mediocre performers get to move up. Why? Because they got a good network and everybody likes them. What you want to do is you want to have a network. You want to have people that trust you and like you, and you want to be indispensable. That's always the best guarantee against layoffs. And that may, sometimes the mediocre performers, if they're not doing everything they should do, they spend a little bit extra time doing that. It may not be fair, but you can't let them disadvantage you. You've got to make that investment in time. How do you figure out a company's culture? Boy, that's a question we get almost every week. There's several questions you can ask. That was one of my strengths as a recruiter. I could go into an organization and spend probably the better part of 2 or 3 hours in the morning and pretty much have it ready, nailed. But most people, they don't think in those terms. I don't know why. That was just something I was able to do. And CEO clients always said, God, where did you get that? It's like that's probably 90%, 100% accurate of who we are. This is who we say we are, and you've told me who we really are, and you're right. But you can ask questions like, what happened to the person who had this job before me? What's the turnover like in this division or this department or this company? Why do you work here? Have you ever thought about leaving? Why did you decide to stay? And when you ask questions about culture, you're going to get sort of cut off answers, because people, they don't really know. And so they may say, oh, we're really a servant-oriented culture. And what you have to do is say, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more. Until you get 3 or 4 of those tell me more questions, and then you're going to start getting to be a more, probably a more accurate, full view of what the culture is. How do decisions get made? But the turnover rate, how decisions get made, the people that have been in this job before, those are all indications of the kind of culture, whether it's a toxic culture or whether they've got some other operational challenges that are causing the misfiring. Let's see. Let's see. How stable is your current company? Something else we were talking about earlier. Clearly, we're in a different world than we were, a few years ago. So you have to approach the job search and the questions much differently. Let's see. As a recruiter, what do you look for in a job applicant? And with the employee and the employer. For the employer, I want to know what their values are. I want to know how they operate their business. I want to know that the posters in the workrooms and then the employee service hallways are about all of our great values. I want to be sure there is some similarity of truth between what you find in the service hallway, posters, and what real life's like in the company. And so I'm always asking questions like that. I want to be sure that the applicant this is going to a good place. And if I've never done search work for them before, I would always go in and spend extra time. Why is that? Because there are 2 types of recruiting: transformational recruiting and transactional recruiting. Most recruiting is transactional. I need a CEO. Here are 5 candidates. They're all check out. They all can do the job. Pick one. Pay me my bill. That's a transaction. Transformational recruiter is someone who says, here are the 5 people. Here are 5 people. You wanted 5 people. I've given you 5 people. I may give them 7. I recommend that you keep this, never go below 3 people if you can avoid it. You don't want to get down in a search to 1 or 2 people, because you want to keep it competitive. You always end up with a better result. The other thing that I'm worried about is that the applicant is going to a good place, because if the applicant is not happy, they're not going to produce the results, even if they stay through the guarantee period. And mine was a long one, 3 years. But I was wanting to be sure that the work I was doing was not putting that employee in a jackpot. And so I asked a lot of questions to protect the employee. I felt like I had an obligation. But I also asked a lot of questions because I wanted to be sure that the person they hired delivered the results they needed, and that's so important. So I was interested. Okay, yes, you want me to find these number of people, and you want them to have these credentials, but I'm looking at the result in 2 to 3 years, and I want the client to be saying, not only did we get a good person, but they've done a great job. They hit on all cylinders, and everybody loves them. And for me, that's a transformational search. You're focused not only on just filling an order, but you're focusing on the outcome, and that's really, really, really important. So let's see if anybody else has anything. I'm being recruited to a director position. I've never competed at that level. What should I expect? Well, depends on if there's a recruiter involved. Now, there's 3 kinds of recruiters. There's a retained recruiter. Those are the people that handle the senior level, VP, senior director, vice president, managing director, C-suite searches. A lot of lower level positions, what we call leadership funnel positions, supervisors, managers, those people, you might get contingency recruiters. And those people they're basically just generating leads for the organization to interview. They may screen you, but they don't do any on-site visits. They probably can't tell you what the culture is. They probably won't know why the last person in the job left, or even how many people held the job in the last 5 years. So you have to, you're not going to get a recruiter in a lower level position that's necessarily, it's going to be very transactional, I guess is what I'm going to say. And so you have to be very, very careful. That's what you have to expect. You have to ask questions. You have to do your homework. And when I say do your homework on the organization, but also do your homework so that when they ask you, why do you want to work for us? You have a clue. You have an answer that's ready, that makes sense. I've seen so many people at the lower level, funnel level positions lose out because they hadn't crossed their mind that somebody might ask them, why do you want to work for us? So, and it didn't cross their mind. Somebody might say, tell us about yourself. So it's kind of that's what you can expect. You got to be prepared. You may be dealing with a corporate recruiter. That's the third type of recruiter. And they may have a little more information, maybe not. Everybody's under the gun. All the recruiters have challenges. The retained recruiter, the one that you probably deal with, the one that you think of as the partner, he's what we call a client-facing recruiter. He spends most of his time looking for business and keeping the business he has happy and keeping the trains running on time. An associate or an assistant or a researcher is the person who harvests the candidate panel. In the contingency business, it's sort of like in real estate. In the morning, one member of the team looks for business, and the other member in the afternoon is looking for candidates to fill orders. And so they work in that tandem approach. At the corporate level, at the contingency level, you got to make placements. If you don't make placements, you're probably not going to stay with the company. And a lot of times it's an eat what you kill business. So you really, there's a lot of pressure to close deals. And so in the contingency world, you have to be careful. If something's bothering you, ask questions. If you don't think you're getting the truth, protect yourself, okay? Because sometimes a recruiter, they don't mean to be unscrupulous, but they won't tell you something if they think it's going to slow down the close on the deal, okay? The last group is the corporate recruiters. A lot of them came from industry, from agencies or search firms, but they have their own set of challenges. Companies are focusing more and more on cost to hire, time to hire. And, sometimes because they're internally, they don't want to, you would think that they would be able to manage the process more. Well, a lot of corporate recruiters, they sometimes are reluctant to push their hiring manager to get the job done. A lot of times when searches drag on forever, it's not the recruiter, it's the hiring manager can't make up their mind, or the hiring manager's priorities are screwed up. So, everybody has their challenges. Sometimes we blame the recruiters for everything, and it's really not them. So I hope that's kind of a rambling answer, but I hope that gives you some idea of what to expect. And the other thing that people ask is, well, I'm applying to Indeed. Well, Indeed is basically best way to put it. It's an outsourcing recruiting screening company. They use AI and they use applicant tracking systems just like the corporations do. So when you're applying to those, if you're submitting generic resumes to the various companies, you may be submitting for a specific job, but they're evaluating you for how your resume lines up with that position. And in the corporate sector, if your resume is not in alignment substantially with what they're looking for, you won't get a call back, and that can happen with Indeed. So you have to customize your resume. We've got some more stuff on that in the morning. I hope you'll come back and join us at 7:30 in the morning tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock. It's a repeat of our self-perspective interview with T.D. Smyers. It'll be distributed, replayed live at 4 p.m. on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And it will live on the YouTube channel for some period of time. TD Smiles. The next month, our interview will be with Mike Lieb. Mike Lieb is building an interim practice business, what we now call Executives on Demand. And he's going to talk about how he's building his business, how he does his networking, and that probably should give you some good insights if you're trying to figure out the networking puzzle. So I'm looking forward to that. Mike and I are going to be actually conducting the interview this Friday. So tomorrow morning, 7:30. Yeah, 7:30. I have to remember. We're doing so many live career lives now. 7:30 in the morning, we'll be live with Career Live, and we have a couple of interesting topics we'll be covering. And then tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m., the repeat of the T.D. Smyers interview on self-perspective. I hope you like our new format. I hope you like what we're doing with the membership site. Please encourage people to join us. We really want to build up the membership. but because the more people we have, the more vibrant it will be, the more we can help each other. And we hope to, we're not trying to be a LinkedIn site, but we want to build a community so people will be willing to share information about people they've worked with in the past. And we've got to figure out how to do that. So some of you people who are out in the market now, we hope you'll stay with us and help us put these ideas together. We want to build a site that is meaningful to people, that helps people with their career and helps people, elevate their trajectory. So I hope everybody has a great rest of the evening, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the morning on Career Live. Thanks and good night.